two guests, two men you may have seen here on Friday. They've developed, as we said, a technique where you don't have to die to have a near-death or out-of-body experience. Over the weekend, we put together the tape. You're going to see me trying all their methods. Would you please welcome international author of Life After Life, Dr. Raymond Moody, and his partner, Dannion Brinkley. Nice to have you on. First of all, you're an MD, doctor, and you're an MD. Say all your degrees. You have degrees in philosophy?
I have a PhD in philosophy and an MD and a psychiatry training.
All three?
Right.
And why are you doing these experiments? What makes you decide?
Well, Joan, to tell you the truth, it began as curiosity because I'm fascinated by the mind. But as we began to do this, and we actually developed a way of evoking apparitions of departed people in normal waking subjects, I found that the most fascinating part of this work is the healing aspect of it, that the people who go through this, I loved your phrase at the beginning that you sort of tie up loose ends with this, and it's a very, very healing experience.
What was probably, what would you say is one of the most exciting or rewarding experiments that you've done?
Well, it just popped into my mind because it's a very recent one. Dr. Carl Simonton, the oncologist who developed the image therapy for cancer, came down just shortly after you did, and he actually visited with his nephew who had committed suicide about 10 years before. Recently, we've had a journalist come down who's in her early 60s, whose son had committed suicide about 9 months before. She actually saw him, talked with him, then later on that evening after she went back to her hotel, he again appeared to her in her room, and they had a discussion. So all of these things are just absolutely fascinating. And as I said, the most interesting part of it is that it's a great healing for the people who go through this.
What about you? And you've had two near-death experiences, very similar to the doctor's, where you also said to me you didn't want to come back.
Never. If you ever touch that realm and that other side, this side has no great value. It's just something to do. George gets on to me a lot about that God put you here for a certain reason. Well, whatever that reason is, I'm thankful for it, but I'll stay as long as I have to, but not a second longer.
You told me that you didn't think you were going to live much longer when we were talking.
Yeah, I think my time is about finished. I'm doing a lot better. I went to the doctor. The doctor said I was doing a lot better, stronger than the last time.
Great.
But I think my time is about finished.
And you have no fears?
I don't know. I'm looking forward to it.
None of you have fears about death at all?
It's so beautiful.
I don't
can't even imagine how beautiful it is.
I think most people probably fear the circumstances of death. The actual transition itself is not unpleasant, probably. Who wants to die, God forbid, with AIDS or with cancer or something? People fear the circumstances of death.
We're in the kindergarten down here.
We're in the kindergarten down here.
Learning how to love is the most important thing. If you learn how to love, to give love and receive love in this life is the most important aspects of it, because it's a little tough considering all things happening.
I think that once you see how thin that veil is, I had an extended conversation with my grandmother, who died about 10 years ago, and it's easy, I think, if you haven't had this experience, to dismiss it as a hallucination or something, but once it happens to you, you just have absolutely no more doubt.
Well, I want to show you when we come back from commercial what happened to me with the two of you in Alabama, so please stay tuned. We'll be right back.